For those of you that have missed the old Emma Frost from the Hellfire Club, buckle up seatbelts because Kieron Gillen has brought her back. My name is Dorian. This is SEM Comics. We are covering the complete Mister Sinister series with Immortal X-Men #1. So it starts off with Nick Fury Jr. and he's in charge of these rebel forces, and they're going to do a raid on the Westchester compound to take out the cerebral satellite, because in his words, he feels like once they take out that satellite, then they have a fighting chance, especially since Orchis got taken out. I can't believe Orchis is the good guys in this. I mean, it blows my mind. So then somebody goes, are we leaving by door or by window? And then Nick Fury Jr. kind of pauses for a second. He goes, I'm pretty sure it's by window. And they all just jump out the window and they fall to their deaths. And then come to find out on the next page, that was all Professor Xavier. So he takes off his helmet and he goes, another cell gone. And Emma's pissed at him. She's like, you get to smash another cell, yet and still you do it so quickly. Like, I like to savor the moment. And then Professor Xavier sheds a tear and Emma goes, are you crying? And Professor Xavier goes, well, what do you want me to show? I'm willing to do what it takes to achieve the dream, but what we're doing is heinous. And I could just see Emma Frost tapping into her inner John Cena, telling Professor Xavier, you need to show
ruthless aggression.
So then on the next page, they're looking at a statue of Magneto, and Professor Xavier goes, I wish Eric was here. So he finally realized that I was right and he was wrong. And there goes that Sinister gene right there. So the Hope chimes in and she's like, if you're done mopping over your dead boyfriend, we need to get everybody together to talk about this dream of yours and to make sure that we don't wake up from it. So then Professor Xavier is about to create the psychic link and Emma goes, no, it's my turn. She goes, quiet council, let's chat. So the first thing Kitty says is, every time you do the psychic link, Emma, you make the chairs so uncomfortable. And Emma's like, yes. You keep the chairs uncomfortable to make sure that this meeting is short as possible. So then Emma goes to Hope and is like, is that a cybernetic hand? And Hope's like, yeah, there's a gun in the pinky and the thumb is a grenade. She goes, somebody's got to be Cable. And if Dad's gone buggy, then I guess it got to be me. If you want to know what she's talking about, you can check out Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, which we cover on the channel. Link will be in the description. So of course, you had to cut off her hand and put on a cybernetic. And guess who kept it? That's right, Exodus. So the way that Hope sees it, she feels like they got 30 years before one of the empires from space comes calling, whether it be the Kree Skrull, the Shi'ar, the Badum, or all of them at once. And they feel like they don't have the technology or the firepower to withstand that kind of attack. So then it cuts to Sinister and he's sitting by himself and he's trying to enjoy a cup of tea. And he's like, they call this tea? He's like, it's not like it's gene science, yet and still the simple task is beyond the colonials. Kieron Gillen's getting real British up in here, especially this next line. Sinister goes, I don't know why the Boston Tea Party was such a big deal. Americans have been lobbying fine tea into freezing waters. That's just business as usual. This is starting to sound personal, Kieron Gillen. And then he's like, this is more evidence of how this has gone so wrong. So then he teleports to his second secret lab, which is in the Westchester complex. And he has a clone of himself sit there, pretty much butt naked. So the clone goes, where am I? And Sinister goes, in my second best secret lab. You're my duck. And the clone's like, pardon? And Sinister starts to explain how you're supposed to talk to an inanimate object, pretty much talk out your problems. And by talking out the problems, you realize the solution. But you talk to a duck. This must be a British thing. So Sinister goes, I would never talk to a real duck, the untrustworthy animal. And even I wouldn't clone a Sinister duck. So I made you. So he pretty much comes to the conclusion that all the solutions to his problems are in his secret lab, which was stolen from him by Orbis Solaris, which is another butt naked Sinister, which tends to be trending in this event. So the only thing that he can think of is to start turning on his creations, which he starts with the duck. Now Sinister just didn't give them the Sinister gene, but he also gave them secondary powers like the power of flight, which he gave himself, which he's using right now. And he swoops down into Emma's room to try to, I guess, drug her, but she's in her diamond form, and he's like, how? Now, from this moment on, when it comes to Emma Frost, you about to see some gangsters. She got Jason Wingard, aka Mastermind, locked up and hyped up on amphetamine so he doesn't go to sleep, so she can sleep in her diamond form all night and nobody realizes this. Now, for those of you guys that are old enough to remember, Jason Wingard and Emma Frost used to be running mates in the Hellfire Club back in the 70s and 80s in X-Men. So, like, they're no strangers to each other. So I'm like, why is she doing this to this dude like that? But then it gets so much worse. He goes, "Did I do well, mistress?" And Emma goes, "No, Jason, you never do well. That's why you're here." So Sinister's like, "I ain't gotta see no more," and he dips. And Emma's like, "Quiet Council, assemble. We have a hunt." So the Quiet Council splits up and they search for Sinister everywhere. So a few of them go to Bar Sinister, a few of them go to Savage Land, a few of them go to France, a few of them even go to Wakanda. But Emma knows right where he's at. And she shows up, chain in hand, talking about, "I had a surface scanner tracking you ever since you took off with your tail between legs, but you can't run from mama." She is taking this dominatrix thing seriously, but he's ready for it this time. So he has this gun that mimics Banshee's scream, and he can calibrate it to where the scream can shatter diamonds, and he takes Emma's arm right off. But she's ready too. She's like, "You disarmed me before, you're never going to disarm me again." And she has this Logan patch, which Sinister created, which gives the person, whoever puts it on, Wolverine's healing factor, and her arm comes right back. So Sinister goes and he unleashes these chimeras, which are a mixture of different mutants, but the main mutant gene going through them is Scott's. So he unleashes them, and then Emma's like, "You must not know who I am." And then the Scotts start turning on each other and start shooting each other, and she's like, "There isn't a Scott alive that I can't manipulate. You think you know Scott better than me? Please." So now, for those of you that have parents like mine and you got your ass whooped, this part is going to be very familiar.
I wouldn't do that just yet, because your ass is mine.
So then she grabs that chain that she brought with her, wraps it around Sinister's neck. Now, pimping ain't easy, but sometimes it's necessary. And you about to see some pimping right now. So in Immortal X-Men number 10, Sinister had this cold ass line that I'm like, man, that was gangster. Well, Emma, she got a cold line in this one. She's like, "Power is not what you are, it's what you do. True queens are self-made, not appointed." So Emma is breaking this man down to his common denominator. I mean, he is struggling. And right before he passes out, he's able to reach to his computer, and he shows Emma how he's working on this new type of chimera that instead of just having 2 additional abilities, they'll have 5 additional abilities, and it intrigues her. So she runs this past the Quiet Council to see if they approve and see if they'll vote to keep Sinister alive, and they all vote for Sinister to stay alive. But then she's like, "Before I let you go, I want you to beg." And Sinister doesn't even bat an eyelash. He goes, "Mistress, Mother Queen, or any and all the above, please." So she goes, "Well, looks like you're one of us again. Krakoa needs you, but stay in line, because if you don't, Mama's coming for you." Emma is such a pimpiness. I halfway expect her to say, "You see, I talk a little fast, but listen a little fast, and I got to slow down so you can catch up."